Alright, hello people, I'm the Dude, and this is going to be a quick rant review for two different movies, both horror movies. You Are Next and Maniac. Your Next was not really scary. There was a couple of jump scares early in the movie, but if you're in it for the horror, you're going to be very disappointed. It was more like a revenge flick. Think of like I Spit on Your Grave or something like that, where someone does something terrible to someone and then they get their revenge. The whole, I want to say like last half of the movie is her getting revenge on all the killers, on the people that show up and kill the family. This one woman is there. She's not part of the family. She was a girlfriend of, I think it was like the second oldest son, and she's just there by coincidence. And she has survivalist training from her father, who's some kind of nut job who thinks the world's going to come to an end or something. They kind of just threw that out there for the hell of it to explain why she's such a badass. But yeah, she sets up traps and, you know, gets the jump on the killers and just starts taking them out one by one. It's pretty ridiculous. How many things had to go her way, the amount of contrivances that had to go her way for her to be alive at the end of this movie were kind of ridiculous. But that doesn't make it a bad movie. It was still pretty good for what it was. Just don't expect to be scared in this movie. It's not really that type of movie. But, you know, pretty good. Revenge flick. Satisfying. You know, her getting back at all the whack jobs. But, I don't know. Probably the weakest part of this movie was everything else, other than the scenes where she's killing one of the hired killers, one of the hired thugs. The rest of the movie, where they're trying to explain the plot, and the killers are chatting about what's going wrong, and early in the movie the family just does so many stupid things. Probably the worst part of this movie is the youngest daughter. She's like, I'm gonna run for it, and they're like, okay, what? Really? I mean, you know the guy's outside, right? He's been firing crossbow bolts into the house. He's already killed like 2 people, and you're all fine with her running out the front door? Do you want her to die? I mean, and then the stupidity just piles up throughout the movie. What this family does, their choices are just ridiculous. They're not trying to do anything at all to better their situation or not get killed. She's the only smart one of the bunch, the survivalist chick. But if you ignore all that, the last half of the movie was fairly satisfying. Her getting her revenge and taking them all out. The big twist at the end, spoilers obviously, her boyfriend was in on it. He shows up at the end. He had ran away. He ran when that other girl ran, and they didn't know what happened to him. Apparently he was in on the plot the whole movie. He just didn't want to be in on the killing. He wanted to get the money from the inheritance, but he didn't want to have to kill anyone. So he shows up at the end, and he thinks he's going to convince her somehow, after all she's been through, to stay with him or to let him pay her off or something. I don't know, but he's like slowly moving towards her, and I knew for a fact, beyond any shadow of doubt, she was going to kill him. It had to be painfully obvious at this point to anyone watching the movie. But he just keeps like talking and walking up to her, and she ends up stabbing him in the neck and then stabbing him in the eye. I mean, it was really satisfying that he was that big of a douchebag, and you know, she killed him. I was hoping she would, but it should have been pretty obvious. But yeah, it's a revenge flick. It was pretty good. I don't know what else to say. It's not really anything new. Maniac. Maniac was a genuinely good movie. This is a really creepy, disturbing, nasty movie about this man who was, I guess he was screwed up by his mom sleeping around, being kind of a slut. That somehow messed him up bad enough to create this, I mean, this nasty persona. He's ruthless and disgusting and only cares about what he wants and has no regard for human life. I mean, people, you know, he mercilessly chases them down, hunts them down, and kills them regardless of them begging for their life. He's a true serial killer, you know, like a sociopath. Sociopathic serial killer. It is a very gruesome movie. There's really no bright spots in this movie. And choosing Elijah Wood as the killer was fucking brilliant. He's such a diminutive little guy. I mean, he's fucking Frodo. I mean, they cast Frodo as a serial killer, and it just works. I mean, you never expect Elijah Wood. I mean, look at him. He literally looks like, you know, this altar boy or something. I think he's like 5'5" or something, 5'6" maybe. He is really short, and he's small framed, and he does not look like someone you should be afraid of. And in this movie, you should definitely be afraid of him. because he is evil. He is pure evil. He systematically finds women, hunts them down, corners them, and kills them in really nasty ways. And then he has like a mannequin collection where he scalps them. You see him scalping these women, and it's not pretty. And he puts the scalps on these mannequins, and then they come to life. It's like they're alive again, and he talks to them like they're still there. And it's really nasty and really creepy. The central thread through the movie is this girl right here, the French girl. I don't remember what her name is, but he's kind of obsessed with her throughout the movie. He kills a bunch of people that get in between him and her, and at the end of the movie, probably the best part is when she finds out what he is, that he's the psychopathic killer that's been killing women, and what happens afterwards, the chase scene where he's chasing her. Hell, the chase scenes in this movie, period, were great. Most of them were first person, where you're looking through his eyes as he's hunting them down, and they're just really well made and really good. But the last one in particular was great. He's chasing her, you think she's going to get away, she doesn't. He chases her some more, you think she's going to get away. And then, big spoilers, this is the ending scene. She finds a car, right? And she gets in the car, and the car speeds off, and he gets in front of the car to stop them. They plow through him, and his body goes flying. And I guess because he hit the windshield or whatever, it distracted them. They crash into, I think it was a signpost. She goes flying out the windshield. Right when you think she's going to make it. You think that one of them is going to get away. One of them is going to make it. No. She goes flying through the windshield, and, her face is all mangled, and she's probably got broken bones, and she's dying, basically. He hobbles his ass over after being stabbed, I think, twice, and being hit by a car, and I can't even remember what else, but he's not in good shape. So he hobbles his way over, and he, lifts her up, and he's holding her, and it's like this, supposed to be like this tender moment, kind of, but in a really creepy way, where he's got her in his arms, and she's dying, but she wants anything else, anyone else, to be anywhere else in the world away from him, but in his mind, he just doesn't get it. So, yeah, she ends up dying, and he ends up scalping her, too, and turning her into a mannequin. And the last scene of the movie is this one right here, where the mannequins come to life, and they'll tear him apart, and underneath is a mannequin. Maybe he thought he was a mannequin, or maybe it's supposed to symbolize that he's not human on the inside. I don't know, but the mannequins come to life and tear him apart. The cops show up, and the mannequins obviously aren't alive. It's all in his head. He's torn himself up, and he's dead at the end of the movie. They find out, who the killer is and how many he's killed and all his gruesome trophies and all that. But, yeah, it was a really good movie. Highly, highly recommend it, especially if you like horror movies. It's more of a throwback. Obviously, it's a remake of, I think it's like an late 80s movie, late 80s horror movie. It's a throwback to that kind of movie where there's no real frills here. There's nothing, there's no special, massive, surprises or twists or some kind of gimmick or something like that. It's just, he's a serial killer, he hunts women down and he kills them. And in the end, he dies too. That's it. I mean, it's very simple, but it works. So yeah, really good movie. Highly recommend it. Really liked Elijah Wood in this. He was really, really good. Really believable as the killer. So, and like I said, really good cinematography with the camera perspectives and all that. Just great movie, period. So yeah. Highly recommend it. You're Next. It's worth a watch. I mean, like I said, it's not a great horror movie in and of itself. It's just, it is what it is. So, it was fairly satisfying the last half of the movie, so I can't complain. Yeah, I guess I recommend it too. I'll see you guys next